Hi, this is Paul Fenn with Prestige Yachts. For Art and Sue Wittmack, spending time on the water had always been a big part of their lives. So when the opportunity came to retire, they didn't know exactly what they wanted to do, but they knew it would involve water and a boat.
And they went up, to the bar.
At first, they thought sailboat, since they currently own one. But then Sue heard about the Great Loop, and that got them thinking about switching from sail to power.
But if you do decide you want to stay
So what is the Great Loop? As Sue explained to me, there is a continuous series of navigable waterways comprised of rivers, canals, and coastlines referred to as the Great Loop that surrounds the eastern third of the United States.
There, it's cobblestone streets right on the waterfront, and they just...
I saw in a magazine, a sailing magazine, about the Great Loop. And so I asked Art, I said, have you ever heard about this? And he started to tell me, what it was. And then started to look online. I thought, wow, this sounds pretty neat. Maybe that's something we ought to do.
We'd always loved sailing and had sailed for a number of years, charters, and then we ended up buying a sailboat and put it on Lake Michigan. So we knew we wanted to do something on water, we just didn't know how significant. And then as time went on, the loop became something we absolutely wanted to do. So we started asking what kind of a boat should we find. We at that time had a sailboat 46 feet long, drew 7 feet of water, had a spar 62 feet in the air, and realized that probably wasn't an ideal boat. So as we were going to the Strictly Sail as well as the Chicago Boat Show, Prestige was represented by Springbrook Marina, and Kyle showed us the 50 that they had on the floor. And it was ideal because it only drew 3'4", had an air draft. We could get under all the Chicago bridges, all the bridges on the Erie Canal, every place we wanted to go, and it's been an ideal boat. It has a speed that has really enabled us to do things that many of the trawlers go half the speed and aren't able to do. So.
Powered by twin Volvo 435 horsepower diesel engines with optional joystick control, the Prestige 500S may not be the typical boat you find on the Great Loop, but as Art and Sue found, it's proving to be a good choice, enabling them to move quickly and efficiently from port to port.
We left September 13th from Milwaukee, and you don't have timelines when you're on the loop, but we had one small timeline that once we left, we stopped in Grafton to come back for our son's wedding. So he was married September 30th, so we knew that was the only timeline. We met it by without any problem. And then, it's hard to say favorite spots because there's been so many different places, and it's been, I think all about the people. We feel like all about the people in our blog and the boaters, the other loopers that we've met, and all their cards that we've exchanged. So
we came down the Illinois into the Mississippi, and then when we get down to the southern part of Illinois, we actually go up the Ohio River. The Mississippi has become commercialized. The floods have taken away so many of the marinas for recreational boaters. So most of us come up then the Ohio, and then down a series of lakes and canals through the Tom Bigby, coming out in Mobile, Alabama. So a number of us end up in Demopolis, Alabama, which is a marvelous place to visit. Gave us an opportunity to visit Shiloh and some of the Civil War battlefields. But then we came across the Apalachicola to Tarpon Springs is about 170 miles, 175 miles. And we were able to do that in 6 hours. Some of the other boats that do it, they call them the slow boats on the loop. They'll start out at noon one day so that they come out of the harbor when it's light. They'll go overnight and end up in the next harbor at noon the following day. So they essentially have 24 hours on their way to complete that. Spent a lot of time down on the west coast of Florida where we had family and friends throughout that sea density. Went down to Key West, Marathon. Then from Marathon, we chose to go over to the Bahamas. And again, the speed of the boat made that very easily done. So we started from Marathon, we went up to Bimini, we went across to Nassau, and we spent a couple days in Atlantis. As we were coming down through the Bahamas, this area of the Exumas is relatively less traveled by loopers. Most of them will either stay next to shore, coming up the coast, or if they do venture over, they'll go to the west end, or they'll stay up here in the Abacos. But again, we were able to go from Stanley Key all the way up to Eleuthera at the Spanish Wells in one day. And it would have taken most of the cruisers 3 to do that. And we just had a marvelous time coming up the Intercoastal. Where the weather was favorable, we went offshore, took advantage of the speed. But we have had no problem doing 5 or 10 miles an hour up through the. Everybody continues through the loop at their own speed. Sometimes people will buddy boat. Our good friends from Canada, there were 2 boats that they buddy boated all the way. We, on the other hand, and most of the other loopers, go independently because we all have different interests, different performance on boats. We're going to continue on up through the Chesapeake and come through the Chesapeake and Delaware Canal. We aren't planning on spending a lot of time in Atlantic City and some of the New Jersey area, but we are looking forward to anchoring or being in a marina under the Statue of Liberty and coming into Hudson. We spent time in New York City, but we've heard just the experience of coming in on our own boat and seeing the Lady Liberty or something. Then we'll head up on through the Hudson. At Albany, just north of there at Troy, you take a left turn and go through the Erie or continue on through the Champlain locks. We're going to do those 11 locks into Lake Champlain. We're going to go up the Chambly series of locks. There are 12 there. And then we're going to end up in Sorel. We'll head down to Montreal. We'll head on over again through smaller channels, on over to Ottawa, and then on back down into Lake Erie. A year sounds like a long time, but there's so much to see. We will have traveled 6,700 miles on this journey by the time we get back. And we haven't seen maybe a third of all the areas that are available by boat.
And so the adventure continues. North to New York City, further north up the Hudson River to Lake Champlain and Montreal. It will be a summer to remember, and I, for one, am looking forward to catching up with them again along the way and being part of it.
Being underway on the water, there's nothing more exhilarating. When you can see the sunset and there's nothing between the water and that sun, it's a blessing.